What's up guys, Maik Wiedenbach here. Today's episode is Can Only Give Tips, man. So the inspiration comes from a comedian my brother and I watch a lot. So one episode they buy a new car, a Mercedes, they drive around and they have a navigation system. It's like go left, go right, blah, blah. And then they drive into the garage, into the gas station, the hood opens and a guy comes out and he's the navigation system and he buys a bunch of beer and chips and goes back in. And then he's back in and he goes, you can go left or you can go right or do whatever you want, I really don't care. Can only give tips. So my brother and I use this a lot when we talk about fitness, when people don't listen. But you guys are listening, so here are my best tips for getting huge. One thing you should remember is, I'm gonna do it with this rope. So each muscle has an insertion and an origin, right? And when we're training, only one can move. So if you want to create maximum tension, let's say something like this, or like this, whatever the case may be, but if they're both moving, the tension in the middle goes away, right? If you can remember this, you're way ahead of the game. So that being said, let's get my best tips. Can only give tips. So for the pecs, right, the thing that people really need to remember is the pecs do this, okay? They move the arm crossbody. So whenever you're doing something, you need to have this intention, or at the very least an inward intention. And the other thing is, you need to flex your lat. So whenever you do something, let's say a fly or a press, you lock in your lat and you have the inward intention, okay? This will create maximum engagement on the pecs. Let's talk triceps. What you remember with triceps is really two things. The triceps are fully flexed here, okay, behind my body. They're not fully flexed here. So if I'm using the short rope or the short bar and I do this, it's gonna be suboptimal, okay? The other thing is, if I'm doing this, I'm using my delts. So ideally, something for a tricep should look like this, okay? So I go all the way behind. Let's talk about its even more famous brother, the biceps. So the biceps, what you really want to think about is doing something like a lat pull down, okay? If you're squeezing in your shoulders and flexing your lats, you have tension. And then you're curling the origin into the insertion, not both into each other. So if I'm doing this, not much happening, right? If I'm doing this, there's something happening. So tip 1, flex the lats. Tip 2, curl out. And then since we're here, let's talk about the lats. So with the lats, you gotta remember the following. The lats are actually contracting here, not here. So again, range of motion matters. From there on, you go in, a pull down, you create tension, and you're actually flexing the pecs at first. And then you move the shoulder blades first and then the elbows. So in slow motion, it's this and that. So tension, and then you're moving in. The same goes for like a row. Like you would turn the hand to actually create tension a lot, as opposed to doing simply up and down. Shoulders. The thing that people get wrong most of the time is really the medial delt, right? So usually side raises, again, the entire rope moves, okay? Not just one part. So obviously this part has to stay steady and this moves. You bring them into each other. But you must go from the elbow, not from the delt, the trap, okay? So tip 1, focus on your elbow moving. Tip 2, stay tuned. If you're only doing it here, there's no resistance up here. So you will have to be, let's say you get your 8 reps, and then you finish on the top level. But my absolute best tip for the delts absolute best is the following, the Superman press. The Superman press is insanely effective. So, you're coming here, and as you can see, I'm shortening all the heads, okay? Because they're all being shoved into each other while I'm holding the shoulders up. Let's talk legs. Hamstrings. So, tip number one, elevate the toes. If you were to do, let's say, a leg curl, pardon me, you would be curling toes in. Now you have length in the hamstring. Now as you're training them, remember, whatever moves away works. So if my hamstrings move away, they work the most. If my lower back moves the most, then that works the most, okay? So the hamstrings go back, and now I have tension. Then let's talk glutes. Train your glutes, stay on the heels. So you're standing on the heel, and now you're coming down, this being a really awkward dumbbell squat, but you get the idea. If you're coming over the front foot, it's your quad. The same goes for a lunge. You must be pushing from the heel to work the glute. You're coming over the foot, we're looking at a quad exercise, and a bad one. For quads, let's go to leg extension. So for quads, once again, speaking very graphically, this is your rope, okay? So now, if I'm doing this, the entire rope moves, right? Again, it can't work. So I'm flexing my hamstrings, and now I'm shoving the two rope ends into each other, okay? So for the quads, remember, shortening the rope without twisting the foot. That's it. Can only give tips. Maik out.